Amadeus, the show after the show. I'm Amadeus.
And I am Eden. And you might be watching this on YouTube because now we have started putting these up on YouTube. So even though we have faces for radio, we are on your video screen. So basically what this podcast does is gives us an opportunity to go into it in more depth. Mm-hmm. Things that we talked about on the radio, or maybe even talk about some things that we just didn't have time to get to.
Because we only have so much time on the radio.
Exactly.
And even when we do, we only have so much time on the radio. So this is a nice little outlet for us. The thing that was mostly on everyone's mind in Jacksonville, Florida today was that win in London this weekend.
Right, and the fact that you were able to watch it animated on Disney Plus. And I know a lot of people watch that didn't have a dog in the fight, per se, like weren't Falcons fans, weren't Jaguars fans. They just wanted to see how the NFL was going to pull this off, being live, animated from Andy's room, the Toy Story Andy's room. It was adorable.
I thought it was too. Now, I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I was at a sports bar, and it was on, but you watched it from the beginning, right? And there were some technical issues at the very beginning.
At the very beginning, they weren't able to, show the field like they wanted to at first, and I got concerned. But then I tuned back. We had two TVs going at once, as we always do. Usually it's the red zone, but there were no other games, obviously. Then my husband tried to pull off having the Riders Cup on one TV, but I'm like, no, we need Disney and we need the Fox affiliate.
Too much sports coming at you at once.
So we were able to watch both. We were listening mostly with the sound on the local Fox affiliate because we wanted to hear the live as it was going.
Right.
But I know that they did spend a lot of time on the Disney broadcast explaining all of the rules, kind of really starting from square one. Obviously, all of this, as well as the one, I think Nickelodeon's doing it this week. They did it last year, too. Mm-hmm. They do theirs live, but then they have animation added in, like the slime, etc.
I feel like Disney probably did every game this season so far, not broadcast, just to kind of work out the kinks.
I bet they did.
So I'm surprised they had issues at the very beginning. But I'm wondering, and I think that if this is very, very successful, they'll do this for at least one game every season next year. I'm hoping anyway.
It was kind of like if you watch somebody playing Madden. Mm-hmm. You know, you watch them playing, it's animated, but it was kind of cool because when they were running, just like they had flames coming out of their feet if they were the ones running.
Gosh, that's great.
It was so cute. And then they had the claw, the Toy Story claw was the one that dropped the ball. And Slinky Dog was who did the yardage.
So brilliant.
It was really, really well done. I probably wouldn't watch it every single time, but I know that there are kids out there and families that are going to love having their kids.
My 7-year-old nephew watched with his dad, watched the entire game, and he's my I guess his dad's my nephew, my great nephew. His dad said he didn't miss a second, sat there glued to the television, and that never happens for 3 hours.
Very smart. The NFL is bringing in those younger viewers.
So smart.
So other things that we didn't talk too much about today, and we're not going to really spend much time on it in this, I don't think any at all, was obviously last night at the game, the Jets game, Chiefs game, Taylor Swift. Mm-hmm. You've heard it. If you want to hear it, you've heard it. If you don't want to hear it, you won't hear it here.
I feel like that's almost become a secondary story now. It's almost expected that she's going to be wherever he is and vice versa.
I wonder if that's going to be a big Halloween costume this year.
I heard that they're going to go as Ken and Barbie this year.
I heard that. I did hear that. But I wonder if more people will be going as Travis and Taylor. Now, speaking of Barbie, there are Barbie Christmas trees now.
Yeah, this is a big thing this season. So it's going to be pink Christmas trees, varying shades of pink, and pink lights and pink decorations and all that. Around $100 is what most of them are costing. So
are they Barbie themed? Do they have Barbie ornaments, or do you hang your own Barbie dolls on them? How does that work?
I don't know. I guess they're just pink, and then, you do your thing with it. So it could go either way, I guess.
Another thing that's happening this week, it's Fat Bear Week coming up.
Fat Bear Week.
So that happens, it starts October 4th. We're recording this on October 2nd. So October 4th, which is Wednesday, they've been having Junior Fat Bear Week. This is, if you're not familiar with it, in Alaska, the bears obviously have to pack on the pounds. Mm-hmm. To hibernate.
For hibernation, yeah.
And so they document them. And the idea is you want to vote for the bear that's going to put on the most weight, right?
So the bears go into a Planet Fitness and they get weighed, and then they come in once a day to weigh up?
Exactly.
Is that how they do it?
Exactly. I think it's a little more appearance-based, isn't it?
I think it is.
On the cams.
Absolutely.
But there's one bear, Otis, that I think is the perpetual winner of this. He just really can. He's like that movie star that can put on the muscle or the fat, based, like a Russell Crowe, based on what the situation calls for.
I feel like he's the Joey Chestnut of this annual. Like, he's gonna win. The other guys are just there to eat as many hot dogs as they can, but Otis is going to win.
But he's in survival mode. FatBearWeek.org is where you go if you want to be able to vote on your favorite fat bear. Can you imagine if they did that in real life? Like, I mean, that is real life, but like human life, like who's putting on like a reverse Biggest Loser kind of deal? I
feel like there might be that somewhere. I feel like that's probably a thing.
You're not probably wrong. Yeah. I'm sure there is. So another thing that we haven't talked at length about, we did like a minute or two on the radio, was The Golden Bachelor.
Yes, which you watched.
I watched.
Thank you, because I was going to. I went to a movie the night it came on, and based on your review, I'm not even going to waste a minute.
You're not.
On it.
Okay. Well, evidently people are liking it, but I want to tell you like my thoughts on it, if I could.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. So, like, it started out with Gary, the Golden Bachelor, weeping openly into the camera about the death of his wife. And they showed all of these photos of this beautiful, loving family. And then it cuts to he's meeting all these bachelorettes, and they are over-the-top glam.
Is that alone weird? Like, right there. To me, like, right there, that sounds like it's so weird.
Well, it's different. Yeah. That's for sure. But what you see is he and his daughters come on, and they're so happy for him to find love. And you're feeling like this could be a little bit different. This could be what The Bachelor would be if there was a little class to it, if women didn't seem so thirsty, if they weren't so desperate.
If there was class to it.
But instead, what happens is these women start getting out of the limo, and they are over the top and like, pick me, doing silly things to try to get his attention. And I'm thinking, these ladies are going to eat this poor man alive. He is not ready for this. He's not ready for it.
You think he knew? I mean, he had to know, right?
Yeah, because as I started watching, I'm like, maybe he is. Maybe that's his game, that he plays this innocent. In the meantime, he's already made out by the end of the episode with two of the women.
Okay.
Full on, like, tongue in the mouth.
Yeah,
So now I'm like, all right, maybe not. Maybe he's not so innocent.
I feel like a hypocrite because I know there have been times when I was younger that I was out, like, doing the bar scene or whatever. And
you might have two different
absolutely
make-out sessions. But
so I kind of feel hypocritical, but in your 70s?
Well, it's not just that, but to me, the daughters being so excited for dad to do this, let me tell you, my kids are repulsed by public displays of affection between my husband and me, and we birthed them. I can't imagine if they would watch one or the other of us with multiple people making out and be excited for it. Like, yay,
I think
Dad.
That would be, like, disturbing in their brain. Like,
there's something, there's a disconnect there, to be sure. The other thing about it is that it's, from the trailers, it's clear that he's going to be, like, doing this with, like, everyone, And just, I mean, it's just kind of repulsive. Honestly, some of these women, I hate to say it because I feel guilty, but some of these women, it's kind of uncomfortable. Like, they're just really cringy.
What just came to mind? I'm surprised that in this day and time of, we're post Me Too and all that stuff, this all seems so gross to me. The Bachelor and Bachelorette and now the Golden Bachelor. It just seems gross. Is it just me?
No, it's not you. It grosses me out. I wouldn't be able to do it. But.
I mean, I don't want to be like a prude, but I don't know. It's just not for me.
Right.
It is definitely not for me. Okay, so we didn't get to this story at all today. I love this story. There's a Tokyo cafe that's allowing customers to rent dogs for $25 an hour just to take for a short walk, to spend a little time with the dogs. If they can't have one at home, if they don't have the time or for whatever reason to have a dog at home, they can go to this cafe, rent a dog for an hour, and just take a walk. I love this idea.
I don't know that the money is going to a dog charity, but I'm going to assume it is.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah.
Because if that's the case, I totally support it. I know here you can literally just go, at least in Jacksonville, to Animal Control and Protective Services and borrow a dog, and it's great for the dog.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel certain that's kind of what's going on there. And I'm going to make it so in my mind just so I can enjoy the story more.
The cafe is called the Dog Heart Cafe. So I feel like they probably are doing
yes.
charitable things, maybe to help pay for, lodging or food for the dog or whatever reason.
I'm just choosing to believe it. I'm going to manifest that.
Well, either way, it's great for the dogs and for the dog walkers.
Dogs will love it.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool story.
And the thing about that is you can meet so many people walking dogs. And I'm not just talking about like a hookup kind of meet people, but like if you've just moved into a new area, new part of town. I remember when we first moved into our neighborhood, we met probably 70% of the people we eventually became friends with just out walking the dog. Yeah, because you have a great conversation starter. You don't
that's true.
And
you have a reason to stop and talk to someone while the dogs are
sniffing each other
and doing what dogs do. It's disgusting. It's like The Bachelor. But I can see that.
It is very much like The Bachelor.
It is. There they are in public display, sniffing each other. And ugh.
Undiscriminatingly. So, there's that story. What else do we talk about?
We didn't talk
today?
about too much. You want to talk more about The Creator.
Yeah, so you saw the movie The Creator.
Yes. Well, I saw 10 first on Thursday night.
Which you love.
I think it may be the best Saw movie. I thought about it all weekend. I kind of can't wait to see it again. If you're a fan of the Saw franchise, it's such a good installment. And I think it might reboot the entire franchise. So that's there. The Creator I saw Friday night, so I didn't get to review it yet until this morning. But really disappointing for me. I thought it was going to be the big sci-fi movie of the year. Gareth Edwards is the director who did Rogue One, which we love. And it just was a letdown for me. Just a big letdown. It's visually beautiful, but the story was just kind of like ongoing. And it was loud in that it was just constantly like barraging you with explosions. And I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it.
What are the critics saying?
I think for the most part, I think on Rotten Tomatoes it had like a 77 from the critics, which is really good for critics on Rotten Tomatoes. But it was a letdown for me, and it only made $14 million, which is really, really not good for a sci-fi film by an acclaimed sci-fi director.
Yeah,
so
I think one of the things about that movie for me that turned me off was, first of all, I don't know who that director is. I do love Rogue One, but I don't think your regular average Joe who's not a huge fan would know that name. But for me, it just looked really complicated in the commercials. The only thing I can remember is that there was a kid with half a head.
Yeah, and that was one of the AI characters. So there's robots. They call them, I think they call them simulators, which is very, very much like replicants from Blade Runner. Okay. This movie seemed to steal quite a bit, or maybe I should just say borrow, from Blade Runner and Terminator and kind of mesh them together. And I think that was, for big sci-fi fans, I think that may have been like a no-no. Because those are great franchises. You don't want to infringe on great original ideas. So anyway, it didn't do that well. It's not that great of a movie. I was hoping it would be.
Stream it.
Yeah. Unless you just have to see it on the big screen.
Right.
Didn't do it and then say, oh yeah, he told me so.
Yeah, I wish I had my money back, but you can't have it back.
But here it is.
You can't have your time back either.
Right.
What else is on that list? Because you usually print 1 or 2 pages of stuff in the morning.
And I had 3 pages today.
Okay, wow. So what else is on there? I know one thing that I brought up this morning that, it's kind of a weird thing to have noticed, but I was scrolling through social media and I noticed that the Wiggles are still around. The Wiggles are this group that my kids, well, not both of them, but my daughter, when she was really young, loved. I took her, my girlfriend and I, it's so funny, we took our 2 daughters to go see the Wiggles, and somehow we were able to get meet and greets to go backstage to see the Wiggles.
And this was like a few years ago.
It would have been like 20 years ago, maybe, a little less.
Was this the original Wiggles
The original Wiggles. So we go backstage, and we got a picture of us, and here are us moms like smiling, and the kids are like covering their faces, crying. They don't want anything to do with meeting these Wiggles, because it's one thing to watch them on TV, but it's another to see them in person.
It's like when a kid first sees like the Easter Bunny.
Right. It was very disturbing to them. They did not expect the Wiggles to literally be in human form in front of them. But anyway, so I'm scrolling through, and I was delighted to see that the Wiggles are still out there touring, probably mostly in Australia, which is where they're from. But they have a super hot Wiggle now. And I was like, what? When did that happen? He's the purple Wiggle, and he has videos of himself doing push-ups with tank top and he's covered in ink, and he's ripped and he's adorable, and he's doing all these like kind of thirst trap kind of videos
It's so
out there,
weird.
and then he'll transform and he's the purple wiggle. And I was like, I'm going to do some research on this. I didn't know there was a hot wiggle. Is this something everybody has noticed? And sure enough, when I hit in the search engine, a bunch of stories came up about this guy and how like all these moms are going crazy over this wiggle. And then I found a video where he is looking at somebody's sign and it says, "My daughter loves the yellow wiggle." And on the back it says, "But Mom and Nana love you, purple wiggle."
So is he inked like all over his arms?
All up and down his arms. But
So-
the wiggles wear long sleeves.
Oh, so the
Yes.
kids can't see the ink at all.
They're very Star Trek looking. They have these long, and they're all in a different color.
Okay.
So anyway, I just
So they're
thought
not
it
the
was
same thing as what was the thing with the
Teletubby?
Teletubbies. I think in my head I had those two things.
No,
as
the
same
wiggles are
thing.
like human men.
Okay.
Human men that sing about fruit salad, yummy, yummy, was the big song when my kids were little. Fruit salad,
my gosh.
yummy, yummy.
Okay. Well, now there's a hot purple wiggle.
So who knew? So
And we learned he's a twin too, right?
he's a twin, evidently, and
So-
I think there's two purple wiggles, maybe. I don't
So
know.
are they playing each other, or is there
No,
one?
they don't look alike.
is it like
I
a-
looked at them, and they don't look. They're
Oh,
not
so- okay.
identical. It's a bizarre world out there.
So it's not like a Mary Kate and Ashley thing where they're playing one character.
right.
It's just there's two different.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
It's just a lot to digest, isn't it?
It is. I'm gonna have to take some time on that one.
Is there anything else that
I think
we
that was
have
everything.
to get to?
Yeah, I think that was everything.
I feel like there's more, but you know what? The beauty is
There's one thing that we talked about a little bit and had on Facebook, that the UK is banning cell phones in
the
schools,
classroom.
the classrooms, and I think that's a great idea. It was kind of 50-50 on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Now your kids are out of school. Where would you have been on this?
I think I would have no problem with them banning them. I get the whole violence in the classroom, wanting to have the phones. I understand that. So I guess operating in that kind of mindset,
It's tough.
it's tough because I have no problem with the idea of them not being able to have their phones all day. I certainly know my son didn't need any additional, distractions
right.
from what he. So I don't know, and I think with social media and everything, I don't really think they need to have them in school.
I feel like if they turned in their phones when they walked into class, but maybe they give them an extra 5 minutes in between classes to
I
check
don't
messages,
know.
check in with the parents, then get it in the next class, turn it in.
It's tough out there these days.
It is.
They have a lot more to think about and handle. They being the teachers and the educators, they just really have to deal with so many more things than we ever thought possible.
So maybe taking the cell phone out of the equation is not a bad idea.
The other thing we have on our Gator Country Facebook page that we just posted was describe your paycheck with a movie title. Let me just double check and see if anybody has commented on that yet, because I doubt that we'll have another podcast ready for you before a couple of days from now. And
I was
wanted to
running
see.
through my mind trying to think of one, and I couldn't think of anything super clever.
Well, here's what we have: The Big Short.
ah,
That's a good one. Describe your paycheck using a movie title. Michael says The Big Short. Heather says Taken.
Nice.
By the time the government's done with your paycheck, yes.
Or the company you work for.
Yeah, exactly. Tina says Gone in 60 Seconds.
Perfect. You had come up with that one earlier.
I did. I thought that right away. Gone with the Wind, says Robert. Dumb and Dumber.
Oh my gosh. Oh, there's another movie that just came out called Dumb Money.
Yep.
That would work too.
Yep, exactly. The
I
Empty
think
Man.
the overall theme is that we all need more money.
Yes, we'd all
for
like
what
to
we're
see
doing.
it. We'd all like to see a bigger paycheck. Ashley says Dazed and Confused. So get on over to our Gator Country 99.9 Gator Country Facebook page if you want to chime in on that. You might have
Perfect.
to scroll down depending on how recent this podcast is for your listening ears.
If you're listening to this on October 2nd, 2024, you got to scroll a lot.
Yeah, that'd be a year from now, so
Yeah.
can't recommend that.
I hope
All right,
this is
everybody.
still going then.
I wonder if it will be. So thank you very much for being a part of the show After the Show podcast. Please do all the things. Subscribe, like, review, thumbs up, all the podcast stuff. Right?
Thank you. Yeah.
And have a great day.
Bye.